Jake's character, or he's like going to be some old mole. Who knows? Who cares, right? It's Jake. And what we did do is that castle that we built in Howd Gwen, we looked into it a bit more. We put it in there mechanically. So what we found is we get the benefits of the stats, but they get the benefits of the reduction to unrest.
Okay, cool.
Alongside, obviously there's other RP benefits of it.
Yeah.
But specifically, we looked into the rules of how embassy works. So it's, it's our land, but we're getting like the loyalty, the stability, and the economy. But they got that fat -4 to unrest, which is obviously massive for them because it's +4 to every single stat, I think, isn't it? Or like several stats.
That's good. They were really high at unrest as well, so that's good.
So we did that, and we
I'm sorry, whose fault was it that the unrest went crazy?
And we talked a little bit about that, and I think,
like I said last time I was here, I had my turn at fucking up the kingdom for RP reasons. Now it's Jake's turn.
I think
I tuned all of that out except for when you just name dropped me there, Tash.
Are you okay?
He's still the disapproving parent. Sometimes I just want to, those, I don't know if, do you guys remember those air cannons? Like, they used to like sell them at malls at like those goofy kind of like novelty stores. And it was like this big, almost like bucket, this like thing you'd grab at the back and you pull and it'd be like, it would like send sound.
I remember those things were really strong for what they were.
Yeah, it was like, and it'd be like, you hear like across and it would reverberate, like it was so cool. So anyways, every time I see Artie on the windowsill, I always want to like,
what's that? I can't say that on air.
By the way, chat, let me know if my voice, my audio and my video are off. That could be the case because I currently have settings set up to compensate for while I'm recording videos with my new camera.
So I'm off.
Thanks. Thanks, Neil. You are so helpful. Oh, here's how you test. You ready?
You know what was the worst thing? I used to have to sync up my Elgato. Like I'd have to put a delay on my stream and my recording device. Oh, not when I was recording. It was much easier to fix them. But when I was streaming, I'd have to put a delay on my camera and microphone to match the delay on my really shitty Elgato.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
And it would be different every time.
Wait, what Elgato are you referring to?
One of the first. It was really shitty.
What device was it?
It was like, it wasn't even an HD Elgato. It was an Elgato, but it was like one of the early fuckers.
I'm sorry, you're using the word Elgato. It's a brand. I don't know what like component
it's the actual streaming thing where you can get video card. Sorry, They started out with those, and they were Elgatos.
Gotcha. Okay, so I was like, I was like, it's like when I talk to Pat, everything he owns is, I think his refrigerator is Elgato. He presses a button on his stream deck, and like a soda can gets launched at his face. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they've definitely expanded out since then, but they started as the video cards.
Oh, I'd love it too, Neil. If I could press like a button on my stream deck and a soda can got launched at your face, that'd make me happy. Like, have a Diet Coke. Right? It's a presidential beverage.
Amazing.
So, anyways, hi everybody. How are we doing today? So, that was an interesting start to a stream. For 103 reasons. The only person that wasn't bad that entire time was Jake. Jake silently waited in the wings.
What about Artie?
Remember, he started off with his voice like a million times lower.
It was slightly lower. And
that's right.
What?
That's right.
And that was on purpose.
That was pretty funny though.
Wait, was it really on purpose?
I put it down. I lowered it. Like,
I thought you were bullshitting.
1 or 2. And they're like, you sound as deep as Kithel. And I was like, oh, well, guess I can't
Of course, we mean deep, as
It
in Kithel's
sounded
voice,
like-
not.
It sounded like you were trying to use a voice mod. Like you were like, "Do you like scary movies?" Or what's that one? It is. Do you like scary movies? This is what you were sounding like on the
Not
on
quite.
the, yeah, like this, yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
little
this
What?
is- this
Is something wrong with my voice?
He
I
can't
think my
pronounce-
microphone's in the wrong spot. I don't know.
Scott, you realize this is season 5, session 1, not session 2?
Oh, is it session 1?
Mm.
Oh, I couldn't. For some reason, no.
Count.
For some reason, on my stream manager on my dashboard, it doesn't let me look up my last 2 weeks streams. It shows me 3 weeks ago and up to like 8 weeks ago, but it doesn't show me my last 2 weeks of titles. And I don't know why it's doing it. It must be a glitch with them.
Why don't
So
you just ask?
why would I do that?
Well, you barely remember a name of a person that doesn't change, let alone the name of a session that changes every week.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you doing, Scott?
These sound like lies. They popped up again on my other tab, so I had to say thank you again because I'm a kind
That was a
person.
cool ass hype train.
Yeah.
That's
Look
a
how
pretty
look
cool. Pretty
how
cool.
many emotes I just got.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotes.
It
And
is.
look, that hyper cheese one's for you.
Yeah.
What is happening? Like, what is this hyper thing?
It's to celebrate like Twitch's anniversary or something. So you can get permanent. So these are all permanent emotes.
Oh.
I think. I read something about
Hexter
it.
Burr.
I can't be able to find it again. They're from Hyperscape.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a brand integration.
It's a game.
Cool. So you
Yeah,
guys want
it's
to play a
new
game?
Battle Royale.
I mean, we could play a game.
Yeah. I was thinking about, I don't know, if you guys wanted to like do something this morning.
Maybe.
I
Maybe.
was
We
thinking
can go.
maybe like we
you,
could...
you guys want to play Among Us?
Play
I
what?
was thinking it's a game.
Oh.
Maybe we
I
could
feel that.
maybe we could have like a chill game today where like we just walk around Hadwen, we go to the hospital,
Sure.
we like just visit some places.
Yeah.
But obviously time's fucked. So if we walk backwards to the place, we'll get there even further in time. than
If you walk there
otherwise.
backwards, and people will just look at you like you're a fucking crazy person. So
People
Neil,
do that anyway, because apparently the people of Adir are like the most stupid yet massively intelligent people ever. Like they're like when it wouldn't suit us, they're like, oh? And when it will suit you, you're like, actually, my thesis suggests.
you come across I think 4 smart people the whole time, and it wasn't any of you. That's right.
Excuse me.
How dare. How
We
dare
already
lie
said
and
last
plan.
session that I'm smarter than Elijah.
That's not true.
An ability score of +5 or 20 in 5e is equivocal to a 12. in
Oh no,
Pathfinder.
no. Wait. What?
Yeah, that's how it works.
I think you mean that the other way around. I honestly think you mean that the other way around.
Didn't hear what
No,
you said.
20 in 5e
So in
is equivalent
5e,
to a
in
12.
5e, your intelligence caps out at 20, unless you have like
Yeah,
magical things
because
that make you go
but
higher.
it's so easy to
But-
get that.
To a 20 in Pathfinder, you can get to a 49. You can get to 106. You can get.
Which is
There's no
equivalent
limit.
to like, which is equivalent to like 100 in 5e.
And in
just
Pathfinder,
more
higher
powerful in
intelligence
Pathfinder.
gives you. In Pathfinder, a higher intelligence gives you more power too. So,
Yeah, you're just more powerful in Pathfinder.
So
You
I
just
would
gotta
say that
accept it.
I say that 20 in Pathfinder is the equivalent of say like a 16 in 5e.
That's what I was saying.
You said the other way around. You said
No, I
a 20 in 5e is the same as a 12 in Pathfinder. You tipped the scales the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, but what I meant was if you converted it. So if you took that guy with a 20 and put him in a Pathfinder, he would then have 12 in.
The other way around. If you took the 20 in Pathfinder, you put them in 5e, it'd be like a 16 in.
No. That's not what I'm saying. You're saying the opposite.
No,
Gotta
no,
help.
because
Gotta help.
a higher is more rare in 5e.
I'd like
The
to...
higher number is more
I'd like
rare
to use
in
a boon,
5e.
please.
Oh my god.
I
He's
hate
so
everything
confused.
about this.
He's so
I hate
confused.
everything.
Anyways, it's like if you take the
I'ma fucking do it. I know in chat. I'ma fucking do it. I'm a Trump guy.
So these guys were a little bit sleepy this morning, and I literally finished an exam 10 minutes before the supposed start time. So I'm on like the high of finishing the exam and like freedom, and
it's a high before he gets his grade.
Yeah, before I get my grade, and then I look like Scott did this morning. Don't say do it, Josh.
Oh, Josh is here.
Josh is thanks, Norway. We'll wait until I get the results, but appreciate it. Josh is here, and he's breaking the truce, guys. You know what to do. He just said do it. He wants us to be TC. Do you think that's funny? Do you think a throne keeper, a throne?
So Josh, are you coming by tomorrow to hang out? Is that the plan? You wanna come chill? I recorded a video and I was trying to post it and I slipped that question in there. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't post the video because YouTube sucks. So this is my officially asking you online in front of all your friends. He doesn't have any friends.
All his friends are here. What are you kidding?
All his friends are in Florida. Why do you think he moved to Boston? It was the only place where he could get near friends. You know? These two things happened. One, he made friends in New England, and two, Ash moved there. He's like, I'm out. So, anyways, you guys, let's get into the game. So Tesh, where we left off, last time you played was literally where we left off. Last week was just character creation. Mostly we focused on Jaden, and Tesh showed us his min-maxing
Tesh fucking sucks, dude. Like, you're just a min-max of Tesh. I don't know what to say.
Confused.
Stop min-maxing Tesh. I'm just saying. Scott was very vocal about it last session.
Scott was actually like really
Thick
last week, Tesh. Like
yeah,
Norway was in
super rude
chat.
to you.
Norway was in chat just saying like, can you just leave off Tesh for like 1 minute? He's just quietly building his character.
Don't even. If I were you, I'd save yourself like the emotional trauma. Do not watch the VOD because it was bad.
What even is the fuck happening?
No, nothing. I said Jake every time last week. I just fucked it up
That's
this
because you
time.
didn't have an alternative.
I mean, I always have an alternative. I can call him Neil, but I respect him too much.
You do respect Neil too much. That's true.
I hate everything about what's happening. So, remind me of where we actually left off then.
We built a castle in Howdwen.
That's right.
We smashed our diplomacy rolls. We've got some more of the Howdwen officials eating out of that little handy pandies.
Handy pandies, right? Yep.
Yeah, it makes it cute. And then I think that's pretty much it in terms of what happened at the very end of last session. I presume you remember before that, because I don't know. I do.
I don't.
That's fine. Let's get into it. What's going on, Scott?
So you finished building all that stuff. The only thing I don't remember. Tesh doesn't. Oh, Tesh does know. One is gone. For a bit.
He disappeared and he's not come back.
Yeah.
I'd like to say there was definitely a velvet glove, Norway. There was just a lead ball inside that velvet glove.
And then so he's gone for like a minute or so.
Yeah.
And then we have Neil's. What is it? The keep was finished off to the side. You guys had went and spoken to what's her name, Octavia, and are trying to find a way to work with her to clean out Vigil. Mog actually had an idea about that. You just didn't have an opportunity to talk to him. So we're literally picking things up back in your... Oh, and don't forget about the long conversations with the Slumbering Queen. With the Slumbering Queen, you did make the conversation, Tesh, with her, where you're supposed to build... The rules of the game, Tesh, are actually a mansion or a noble villa can be used as an embassy. The fact that you got a castle there was me being a kind and gracious lord. So, you're welcome.
Thank you, kind and gracious Lord.
It won't come and bite you in the ass in the future at all anyways. Don't worry about it. You made all your diplomacy checks, and we did what we needed to do.
I hate you, Scott.
Why? I didn't do anything.
It's fine. It's not going to bite us in the ass, Dash. It's not like he's going to punish us because he doesn't know the rules.
What? Oh, I know the rules. By the session's end, if your ass is not rosy red, things have gone awry. Those is the rules. So we can pick up with you guys where you were last time, which is back inside your primary city of your only city. It's not even a city. It's your town of Kurzfall. You guys don't really have a city. You have a city and a thorp. So you have a town and a thorp of Kurzfall. The two of you there with your advisors. Not all of your advisors are in town. Oftentimes, what's his face? Mog is out west. Ezek is out west. Those aren't even advisors anyways. You have Kithel spends a lot of the time inside the actual underneath Hod Gwen, hiding underneath the new castle, working with Guinevere. You have Elliot is often down with them chatting, but Elliot also started hiring his own aides. You guys built your town hall inside your town. That's going to be used as offices for bureaucracy for your different advisors. He's getting his people up and started there. Ravina has also spent some time looking to gain a few peoples working under her as well. She doesn't really run them past you guys for approval. It's one of those things where she'll just inform you a few people are hired in the name of the crown. And just kind of like leave it at that. If you guys ask questions, she provides answers. But the fact that she even keeps you filled in is like just a formality. And so on and so forth. You know where all of your advisors for the most part are. So the big concerns right now, if I remember correctly in chat, feel free to remind them of all of their tasks. And if you're on YouTube and you want to be nice enough when I post this video in 65 years to drop a pin in this spot for everybody else. If you want to, with you, what is it? You have your advisors in your town with you. I'm not sure what task you guys want to take care of next. Your tasks do include vigil, ways of solving that problem, which do include, of course, gaining some ore, your mines to the west, establishing your mines to the west, investigating the new town that you've discovered called Drazstone to the west, figuring out more details of what's going on in the southeast, where Paradel has taken a chunk of the land according to the southern border. And other than that, I don't really think there's anything else. I suppose we can kind of start up the session, if you'd like, with an advisors meeting. If you feel like you need to have conversation with them over some details, or however you guys would like to. So I'm going to throw it to you boys.
Sure, I'm happy to be advised by my advisors on the next course of action.
Yep.
Sure. So we'll bring it to a meeting, and you'll say, lady, gentlemen, because there's only one here, because we're terrible people. It's a token female.
Well, Jaden could be here.
She's busy, actually. She's the general of Ahad Gwen. She has important matters.
She's the general. Teleportation.
Yeah, but if she keeps disappearing through your embassy, that might look bad.
It's a castle.
Yeah, the embassy.
People disappear into castles all the time. Do you need me to turn down the energy a little bit, Scott? Are you struggling to cope?
No, it's okay. You embarrass yourself, and the rest of us will just enjoy it. What was I saying? Yeah, so you're talking to them about what do you think the next course of action is how you're posing this question so I can start having them react for you. That was to you, Neil. Tessa's following your lead.
My next course of action is to consolidate and expand on King's Sun's Rest.
Okay, so did you want to go and explore that realm yourself? Because beyond kingdom roles, Did you want to go and explore that area?
So I need a bit more information from Ravina before I go and engage in diplomacy.
Ravina about Drazstone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. And I know she was intending on going there. Now, I had said last time we did Kingdom rolls that she was going to go check out that place, but we didn't actually roll for that yet. Would you like to do that Kingdom roll, that advisor roll right now? That's going to be, I'm going to pull up her actual modifier. Un segunda, señorita.
Yeah, I also think it'd be good to have Hence's opinion. Because it was her brother runs one of the rival companies over there.
So you invite Hansa to the meeting with your advisors?
For this portion, certainly.
Cool. She'll make a comment like, "Oh, I get to come in this room for the first time. That's nice."
Don't stab anyone.
It's, of course, unfortunately, her personality. So for Ravina and the information that she'll be able to provide for you, Ravina is, of course, a spy master. So I'm pulling up this right out. I clicked Viceroy because I'm a smart boy. Spy master. You're looking for a stability check. I would call this one because you're trying to find out the stability and whatnot in the region. And Ravina's focuses and whatnot are... Where are you, Ravina? Secret information being hunted down. There's no secret information over there, so you're gonna roll normal. So this is gonna be
secret information over there.
She's not looking into specifically secret information. She's getting you mundane information. So you're going to be rolling with a +6, sir.
/ roll 1d20 +6.
So the 17, just try to find out the rudimentary details of how Drazstone works. Just pull out my notes real quick. Because I'm a dumb boy and didn't do it in advance. Trying to remember. Is that this one? No, that's not. That's over here. Even though we were talking about, I could have pulled my notes up in advance, but I didn't because I'm a bad boy.
It's fine. Sometimes it takes a while to get them up.
Oh, you know what? I just remembered where these notes came from. Is it bad that I just don't have things properly organized for you, Neil?
No, I kind of expect it by now, you know?
Why can't I find these notes? Why can't I find them? Sorry, because you guys haven't explored there yet. It's not fully integrated into my brain. And I'm trying to remember where the hell these fucking notes are. I know I've been downloaded into my computer a million times. I just don't remember the name of the file.
Sorry, Neil, me trying to stay awake.
This is super exciting. 1 second. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, I was like, you can tell that Scott's paying attention because I really slept that one by him.
Oh, I'm not even looking at you.
No.
There it is. Okay.
It was words that I spoke. You tend to hear those, not see them.
But I don't tend to listen to you. That's just like a shut up.
Listen.
Yeah.
Full stop.
All right. So here it is. So anyways, what you learn is at Drazstone. So the person that's primarily in charge there is a mole. Well, not a mole. I keep saying that word. That's not accurate. A hobgoblin by the name of Burak Rain of Clan Raerin. So that's the person that happens to be in charge. They are one of the people that's, of course, has a pretty strong interest in collecting the ore because the value of it, so on and so forth. They have a couple of other peoples in charge there as well. Some Pearson and humans that happen to be in charge there as well. But for the most part, it's actually hobgoblins are most of the leaders that happen to exist there. The town itself, it's not exactly like it's a huge or massive place, but it is formed well enough with multiple guard towers that are on the edges, like just beyond the site of the town itself. So like if you're at the top of the guard tower, you can see people as they enter the town, or you can see beyond that, like close to like where the mines would be. So they do a pretty good job of making sure that the area is well looked after. They actually have a pretty decent sized alchemist shop there. As funny as that sounds, they actually have like a proper alchemist set up in that area. But beyond that, though, I mean, if you want to talk about whether or not it's a competition for what you're building, yeah, they have a waterway off of which there's built a foundry, and there's a smith that exists there as well. With a 17, I would go so far as to say the smith that exists there is not very good. They're not a particularly good smith. But you can also get that information from Hansa as well. She'll be like, they suck. They're not good. Like, yeah, they can make you horseshoes, but their armor is shite. It's actually a quote from a movie called Knight's Tales with Heath Ledger. If you never saw it, probably should. It's a couple of laughs. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, they even have like a proper tavern and everything set up. It's honestly, it's if you took Rid and then gave it like purpose, that'd be this place, with a bigger population. Beyond that, should tell you that the population of the place is probably around 2,000. So not tiny, but also not grand. Okay.
Yep.
That's what you'll be able to find out about that. With your 17 total, one of the things that should say is that the place has a decent number of clans that happen to exist there. There's actually a proper hobgoblin society there, which there are in many different towns and thorps and villages and whatnot all throughout Adir, just none of the really big focused ones that we've spent most of our campaign on. Those ones tend to be a much more mixed group than predominantly Mole along this inner region of the rivers. All right, so that's the information that you're able to get off of Ravina for the most part. What Hansa is able to inform you of, and this is bringing it back down into RP. So Ravina is talking. When the clans are brought up there, one of the things that she would say is that, yeah, the place is run by different clan representatives. If they have a seat in the council, they give their names. Honestly, it's the place can gather ore, but they don't know what the fuck to do with it. They can smelt it into workable metals, alloys, but beyond that, everything that comes out of that place is absolute shit. It's a waste. And some of those ores, after they've been smelted, after they've been worked, you can't just melt it back down and work with it again. You're gonna ruin the integrity of the metal. So it's just a shame. They're draining mines, taking the last bits of ores. Shit.
I see.
And to clear up what Norway's referring to down there, Norway's talking about ghost touch horseshoes. Remember, the mines that they're mining into do not have that quality. That's the metals that are around the keeps or the different areas that were of the old mole teleportation spots, as described by Mog. That ore up there, as originally described by Hansa, is a different type of ore that can do other things. One of the things that can actually be done with it is if it's worked the right way, it can become cold iron. Not to be confused with the stuff that has ghost touch built into it. Back to you, Neil.
Yeah. That's the stuff around the
keeps.
Keep. Yep.
We would obviously encounter competition from them if we were to pursue our goals of forging and becoming an industrial power in Adir. However, what's the likelihood that the craftsmen are like you, Hansa? If it was like you would not be satisfied with a poor quality product. those that mine, those that distribute, those that profit surely would prefer to have a more skilled craftsman. One like you, for example.
They're trying to make profit. The way you're going to get more profit is with higher speed, not with quality craftsmanship. The average person, and certainly those out of Paradel, ain't going to be able to afford what it is that I make. You make 10 swords in the amount of time it takes me to make one and start the plans in the second. If not more.
Unless you find the right buyers.
Yeah, good luck.
He gives her a look. Lets that one go. I heard tell that your brother worked in Dresden. What is it he does? Are you close?
Nah, he's shit.
Are you close?
No.
Excellent. And what is it he does? He's not the smith over there, is he?
Again, he's shit.
He's the smith over there. Very good. Well, that will work in our favor. Does he know he's shit?
Most people don't. She says. Just kind of leaves that open-ended.
What the fuck off.
AKA, she's informed him and he doesn't believe it.
I wonder if he could be persuaded to join under you on an apprenticeship.
He's my older brother.
Oh.
Yes, but you're better than him.
I've told him that.
I'm considering dispatching one of the advisors, to deal with the situation. I was thinking Arthur might be a good shout. He has an excellent head for numbers. He's reasonably charismatic, and he tends to not rock the boat. Tends.
And then I'm just the goblin situation, though.
Yes, we let that go. We don't constantly remember Valrin as that one guy who lost the scene. Like,
You motherfucker.
would you care to accompany him? While you're away, we could have your shop fitted into, I believe I was recommended by a certain businessman who I will not name for Scott's sanity.
What was it? It's Hindleton Nielsen, I think.
To form form it into more of a shop for those of the discerning eye.
So while I'm gone, you want to have your hands inside my shop, move my shit around?
Oh no, I won't be doing the manual labor.
She says, I figured that.
But if you would be upset by that, I'm sure we could have Retrock rummage around inside your shop, if that's more to your liking.
She gives you that look like, why are you in my room?
Look, it was merely a suggestion. Do you think it would be wise for you to accompany my friend, Arthur, on his journey? You are handy with the sword. You wouldn't be going alone, I imagine, but still, you have an eye for things that Arthur will not. You know the craft, you know the ore. You would be able to make subtle inquiries. It would also be nice to demoralize them, to know that we have you as a craftsman. Or craftswoman, of course.
I'd rather work on the stuff I have going on here.
Very well. I won't push the issue. I've learned better than that.
I still have to finish getting my plans together for when I have the ores that I need.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
They're well guarded.
I'm sure. Leshev knows how to keep safe its coffers.
Well, I was more referring to the most elite and well-trained army in Adir, but very well. I suppose Leshev probably has vaults.
She says, well-trained, maybe, but not well-armed.
Yes, well, we are building a foundry for that purpose, are we not?
This guy, Hindleton Nielsen.
Mr. Trode.
I'm pretty sure that's not his name.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Hindleton. We haven't spoken, but I've heard his plans to build a foundry. Does he even know anything about how to do it?
He seems the type. Why don't you meet him yourself? He will be in Sun's Rest now. Isaac is a amenable fella. Straight to the point.
I know who he is. There's not many people of quality craft that live in Adir. We know of each other. But
he did.
I'm talking about.
That's true.
I'm talking about the foundry itself. It's a bit different than hammering together an axe to put through someone's skull.
Respectfully, Hinter. Handsome. I did a scar in the worst possible way.
Well
respectfully, I do not really have the first clue on the construction of a foundry. Perhaps you would travel there as my representative and oversee it. I have a great deal of trust in your abilities and your skills, and I'm sure that anything produced under your watchful eye will not only be done so appropriately, but swiftly.
I actually have interest in that. Are there still those flying things over there, though?
Perhaps a couple. There's a flying thing that's on our side now. Did you ever meet Athena?
I don't remember. Did she ever
She
meet?
must have heard of.
Yeah, no, definitely heard of.
Flying over. Yeah.
Yeah. She'll say by reputation.
She's smaller now, and glows, and has the power of fire, and speaks. She's dealing with the issue.
She actually looks like it's one of those things where she wants to respond, but genuinely doesn't know how. And so she just nods.
She's seen enough weird shit in this town to be like, okay.
Hindleton Steelworks sounds like a great name for a foundry. I'm writing it on our notes right now.
Why is this a thing that's happening?
This boy. Just wait till I sue him.
Great. Got it in there. Hindleton Steelworks. Done. Man, I'm so happy. This is the greatest idea I've ever had.
No, it's really not.
There we go. Hindleton Steelworks. All right, back to you guys.
Is there anything else to say to that?
With those people in the meeting, no. I will have a couple of other people kind of chiming in.
I'm also going to have the Riders of Raerin recalled now.
Sure.
Le Chèvre is now safe. The undead plagues ended. They can go and get their horses.
100 of them,
yeah.
I think. Right?
I'll leave it up to them.
Right. So
I'll leave it up to them. We want our fucking horses back.
Yeah, I mean, if they want their horses back, then
there'll be war.
I'm not gonna be like, you have to leave half of your stolen horses with these guys. I'll tell them that that's the arrangement I suggested, and if they choose to do it, then they can do it.
So, what would be brought up next?
Oh no. Fun?
Chosen.
Oh, okay, yep.
I bring news from Hardgwen.
Ah, yes. The ever-present thorn in our side.
It was nothing pertaining to the affability of the council in Hard Gwen. It is in reference to an incident that transpired there. Dwayne actually has more detail for you than I do. But the short version is there were some passers-by in the city that left an impression. I personally had the opportunity to meet with two of the people.
What sort of incident?
Short version, there was something that transpired in the hospital, but I don't know much as that is far outside my purview. But when I did go to visit Dwayne, for my own reasons, I found in his home he was keeping a couple of fugitives. One by the name of Rena, nicknamed the Destroyer, and another by the name of Elijah Pearson.
Neil,
Hold up.
you know who Elijah Pearson is.
We know who Rena is as well. We've heard tell of her.
Yes, but you personally know Elijah Pearson because you remember serving with him on the wall. He is actually an officer on the wall that was a powerful mage that focused on the security and the strength of the wall itself so it didn't melt.
Yes, we've heard tell of Arena before, up north in a place called Valor, if I understand. And Elijah Pearson, I recall him. He was an interesting fellow. A deserter, perhaps.
You say that, and there's like a moment where a couple of the advisors who know your history just kind of don't react. Like, don't react a little bit too well.
Everyone just freezes.
But moving on.
I'm thinking aloud.
Anyways, moving on. So
I would say an interesting individual is an accurate description of Elijah. He behaved very strangely when I met with him. He even went so far as to shut Dwayne's door in my face and scamper away. I'm not entirely sure as to why.
He always was a coward. And no offense, Kithel, but you do look rather intimidating.
I've met Elijah before. I met him with the Chosen of the Blade. He seemed fine then.
You think he was acting suspiciously?
Seemed suspicious to me at the time. I don't fully understand why.
Not to mention, I am not particularly pleased with someone who has the nickname of the Destroyer being an occupant of a deer, let alone Hard Gwen.
I believe they were passing through briefly when I checked on their location again just this morning before returning home. They seem to have already moved on. Again, Dwayne has more information. He was passive in sharing.
I think it would be best to speak to Dwayne about this incident. I trust that he would not have done something too dangerous, but still it's better to stay informed when potentially dangerous or potentially useful individuals travel through your towns and cities. Yes, I understand Haldgwen is not our city, but nonetheless, we have a vested interest in ensuring his security.
I asked Dwayne if he wanted to accompany me back home when I heard a call for the council meeting. He said it's probably best if he stays in Haldgwen. So perhaps you would like to visit him there, or are you directly calling him home?
I trust Dwayne's instincts. It would not be good for him to repeatedly visit Curseful. However, we are friends. I see no reason why I couldn't entertain him for an evening of drinks in the castle.
Embassy. No offense intended, but phrasing is an important thing in these difficult times over there.
Seems like you've been learning from me, Kissel. As I have learned from you.
What's his name? Elliot kind of chiming in and says, kind of chimes into the situation and says, it seems like Elliot wasn't the only one who was a bit off kilter that day when, what's her name? Guinevere returns back to the embassy. She also seemed a little bit off as well. But nonetheless, we have been continuing our research onto the crystals that we've discovered down below, the gems, their properties and how to properly use them. Kithel seems to have discovered a way to even be able to, dare I say, craft with them. We're just trying to discern different ways to utilize them to actually kind of look into magics. If only we had a stronger understanding of mole magics in general. I do have to say, I have a bit of a split focus right now of the various tasks that I'm working on. While I have many peoples working underneath me, I also have more personal details that I've been asked to look after as well. To help get more aid in this matter, I was able to procure a sill to work underneath me.
Oh, shit.
And I understand. I believe everybody at this table here knows what sill are. There's like a nodding pretty much around the table of like, I know the name, or just yeses. Good. You're going to say something, Tush?
No, just the reaction would be like, I imagine for Ilen, Syl would be like, not actually myth, but like they're things that are talked about. It's like, that can't be real, sort of thing.
Sure, yeah. Where he's from, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, so hit that reaction of, oh, what the fuck?
Does he say anything, or is just
anything.
Okay?
It's just the reaction, yeah. So,
I don't know if anybody reacts to his reaction or not. I would say that none of the advisors jump in and say anything.
Syl.
Syl, yes.
In Adir.
Actually, in Kurzfall.
In Curseful.
Correct.
Does that seem particularly wise?
If you want to understand the magics that we're dealing with, yes.
I want to understand the magics, but I don't want to put ourselves at risk. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these Syl are all considered fugitives.
As I've had it explained to me from the Syl perspective, they're considered mistakes.
I see.
I don't think the argument is in what the rights are for the Syl. I think the Syl should be allowed to be what they are. I think. But I think what Raerin is talking about is the risk that puts on with the Arcane Congress.
I understand what you're saying. Last I heard, we had 2 Congress members come through our fair town, and they head south to Vigil. We haven't heard from them yet. If and when they should return, we'll just make sure that they don't see the Syl. But you're not going to get much of a reward without much risk. And the Syl's understanding of elemental magics is unparalleled, vastly outpacing that of a Malta.
So Ilen is actually just going to look to a Raerin and says, well, if we wanted to get a leg up on the council, this might be the first step. Congress, not council.
No.
If the Arcane Congress return, there's no guarantee that we would be able to hide the seal.
If the Arcane Congress returns, we can always feign what's the word I'm looking for? We can always feign ignorance. Still aren't of this region, and very, very few live here. Perhaps we just thought it was a gnome. But that's, of course, only if we're the kind of people that are willing to turn our backs on someone simply because of the race that they were born into.
I imagine this Sill has methods of their own to avoid detection. They wouldn't stray this far without it, I imagine.
As far as I understand, they do not have that. Not unless they specifically trained in it. It's just they're not necessarily being individually hunted. Divination magics can only go so far. But if you think about it, Raerin, Chosen, we all here, with the exception of you specifically, with the exception of you two specifically, are trained in arcane congressional magics. Every one of us. We all had those same guidelines or direct teachings. So trying to understand mole magics is trying to unlearn everything you ever have, like learning a new language that uses an entirely different alphabet, sentence structure, idea of how to even approach communication. It's incredibly difficult. But having somebody that can speak that language, but also as an understanding of how you speak yours, can help to bridge that gap. I mean, again, a Malta, they have an understanding, but not to the degree, not to the caliber that the Sill do.
I think you misunderstand, at least with my point of view. I am all for this. I'm merely looking at options on how to mitigate issues that might arise from this. I think it's I think they would be a great boon. Just a matter of managing the consequences of that.
Well, if you would like to meet the gentleman. Gentleman? Oh, let me think for a second. It is a gentleman, yes. Sorry. I should remember. Going back IRL like 11 months.
There's that pause of like, oh my God. Yes, I would like to.
They have been working diligently for 3 days now, only 3 days, in the newly constructed offices that we've created. I can either have them come to meet you in the castle, unless you'd care to come and visit the offices. I haven't seen your smiling faces giving nods of approval in our design work.
I'm more than happy to come and visit the offices.
Good.
I think if we intend to harbor this individual, and if we intend to be compassionate, it would be foolish of us to feign ignorance.
Yes, I think also.
I agree as well.
Remember, we may also run into issues with Ravina if they should come back. I doubt they're going to simply be okay with the fact that we. He looks over towards Ravina. Fixed the condition they put her in.
I'm not afraid of the Congress.
No, it's I don't necessarily mean that. I more mean the time of just getting along might be coming to an end, unfortunately.
It very well may.
Yes, and this would usher in its ending far sooner, should it become known. We are not in a position where we can tussle, let alone outright defy the Arcane Congress. We have been lucky in our altercations so far that we have had outside influences, a literal god, a amber gem. There is weight in the law and the voice that man had. We have been lucky. We may not be so lucky next time. However, I understand what you're saying, that we should not simply judge someone or refuse sanctuary to someone simply because of their race or creed. A deal is meant for all. So, why not use what we have? The morgue possesses some form of magical ability in the walls, correct? It prevents the undead from traveling through it. Look in to see if this would block other forms of magic as well. If so, we could set the sill up in a comfortable room. Obviously, we could repurpose a section of the morgue. It's not perfect, but he won't end up in a morgue himself, though, right? I think parading him around the town offices is foolish.
If I remember right, the Arcane Congress said that the raising of the specter was obscured by something. Maybe that was obscured by the walls.
Elliot would chime in and say, I agree with everything that you just said. Perhaps looking into the walls of the morgue should be looked into, however, by Mog, and looking over towards her Hansa. That kind of stuff is not my expertise. And frankly, my hands are rather full. In Kithel's spare time, perhaps he could. He has a stronger understanding of, no offense, big guy, rocks. So he might be able to assist in that matter. But I don't think that, I don't know if that there's a bleed over between one effect and the other, just due to their similarities. Let's look into it. Arthur's actually going to kind of like, he gives like the motion, like just the way he like moves his hand on like his chin and leans in and says, you bring up a fair point, says looking over at Chosen of the Quill. Says, you bring up a fair point. We are not currently in a position where we can really test how far of length, so what lengths the Arcane Congress is willing to go. But just as the Chosen of the Hearth brings up a point, perhaps this is an opportunity. If we make a good relationship with this one sill, maybe this one sill can open the door to speaking with others. Maybe we can have a stronger understanding of magics. I'm not saying that one individual person has the ability to overthrow the entire Arcane Congress, but it is certainly a crack in a door that we might be able to open up. I mean, certainly we've had other opportunities of other nations that stand against the Arcane Congress, and despite amicable relationship with them due to others' relationships and helping of their armies, we haven't explored those avenues to challenge the Arcane Congress. But the sill is yet another opportunity.
Now is not the time to challenge the Arcane Congress.
But it is a time, while their eye is elsewhere, for us to gather allies, understanding, for us to start building up for when they do want to come bearing ill will. We don't want to be too little too late. I'm already going to be heading to Drazstone by your decree. What say you I continue a little west from there? And perhaps even north after that.
Huh.
Asking all of the hard decisions while one is away.
Well, we can't sit around on our hands idly by while he goes and on his spiritual searching, while we all here, of course, have our own faiths and deeply respect the connection to the three of you and your gods and appreciate all that they do for us. The world does continue to turn.
If you leave the borders of Adir, your safety is less than guaranteed.
This is not Elliot. This is Arthur. Continue. This is the chat.
Oh.
Oh.
My safety, I'm genuinely not concerned about. As I've left and gone in Paradel before in my lifetime. Think of the proximity of Loshev from Vala.
I think
I'm more worried about those wyverns, personally.
You dealt with them.
It just lets it stop there.
We sent adventurers to deal with them.
But not all of them.
What do you mean, not all of them? Oh, the mountains?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. We're talking about wiping out a species. Oh, the Sill shouldn't be persecuted because of, but the Wyvern should. Like, what is this double standard? Well, if you make it through the Wyverns, I'll be pleased to welcome you back, I suppose. You have made a valid point, and you're not wrong, and it would be good to make cordial relations with Amulta and to clear my name. I am not against this, Dylan. What is your opinion?
Leon would actually chime in and say, Chosen, to clear your name?
I was captured into slavery from the wall. Most people consider an abrupt disappearance like that desertion, particularly when it occurs overnight. I can't blame them for their theories, I suppose. It's not illogical to think that I would desert. My family would be dismayed. It would be good for them to know that their youngest son did not desert. That's purely personal, however.
If you would like me to deliver a message for you, says Arthur, to your family personally, as well as to whomever it is I can seek audience with, truth be spoken, utilizing your family name as a means to gain access to those of fair rank, as well as our connection with the Heathgart family, would be beneficial. But I also don't want to put you in a bit of a strange position, as your family probably hasn't heard word of you for well over a year's time.
If you would merely let them know that I am alive and well, and that I didn't betray Amulta.
Elliot will actually chime in and say, Raerin, and he kind of like brings it down, of course. This is, of course, a deeply personal matter. If in less public moments you would like assistance in drafting something, unless, of course, you're afraid of dazzling with too well-written word. You want them to believe it's you.
Ilen will like stifle a chuckle. I think, back on the matter at hand, I think that is a good idea. I think making as strong allies with as many people as we can while the Congress is dealing with other things. I imagine the fact that we have not heard back from those two could be either very good or very bad, but it does mean they may be dealing with something else.
Well, I think now is the time to act, Arthur says. I'll head to Drazstone and beyond, and we'll see what we can do with this information. And I'll head out as soon as possible. Perhaps...
Sorry.
Well,
Go on. I was laughing at Josh saying, keep your Kingmaker out of my throat.
Oh, yeah, I read that a while ago, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Guys, Kingmaker isn't the problem here. We all know Kingmaker isn't the problem here, okay?
This is just Scott trying to get the Thronekeeper views up. Just don't worry.
Oh! God damn. No, if he wanted that, he'd send Raerin.
So anyways, what was I to say? Arthur does say, well, I did hire a couple of people myself to work in the offices, and they will be able to look after things for a bit of time while I'm gone. Honestly, I've gotten enough details secured that I believe that you can that you wouldn't even notice my absence.
Technically, he can be gone for up to what?
I misspelled. Misspelled.
Very well. I think this is a good plan. Stay safe, however. Don't take unnecessary risks.
So you're saying that I shouldn't take Ret Rock with me? Ret Rock literally looks up like someone said my name.
Probably not.
So how many of the Raerin's riders should I bring with me if you want to leave an impression? Because they are the best trained and so on and so forth of a deer. Says lazily mocking your words.
I think 25 would suffice to keep you safe from all sorts of brigands. You need to wait for them to acquire the horses, however. It will take you time to procure supplies and whatnot, and to speak with Dresden, so they could probably catch up there.
Perfect. I'll find out the cost of BP for mobilizing an army of that size in a moment and inform you how much this is going to cost you. We'll also look up the cost of diplomatic decrees as well, as those tend to have. Because you're not just walking up with a letter, usually showing up with gifts as well.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Gifts.
One's going to get back and
seriously,
like, what happened to all the money?
Gifts, not gifts. So we don't want to say like moving pictures. That might be a nice
arguably,
gift.
that would be far more impressive than a gift.
I was about to say, yeah.
It's the Steve Buscemi walking up to the 16-year-old queen. How do you do today, fellow children? Fellow kids, whatever it is.
Fellow children. that was a how do you do, fellow kids moment.
We'll send him off.
Better.
We need to go and speak with Guinevere and Dwayne, potentially Guinevere, but definitely Dwayne. Is there anything else? The horses. They're going to go collect the horses.
I meant to ask Elliot, Guinevere was different in what way?
She was, we had an incredible amount of research that we were doing. It was genuinely enlightening what we were able to discover that day. We were all kind of excited to spend some time with Dwayne. We intended to go there and have a few drinks. I ended up getting caught up, so I couldn't go because, full plates and all. And Guinevere, she left. She forgot a book as always, left again. And then she came back rather quicker than I had anticipated, actually caught me off guard. And she was just silent and shyer than usual. She just was behaving strangely when she returned. I inquired a little bit, but she very much gave that, well, you know how they can be, he says.
We have trusted her with a fair bit of information. I don't mean to say that we shouldn't trust her now. I mean, we should probably investigate what's going on.
I'd ask Dwayne.
Dwayne would probably understand better. The two of them, behaved strangely.
Okay. Well, there's something for us to investigate anyway.
Unless anyone else has anything to raise, I believe we have a great many things to do. Kithel, would you look into this wall rock issue with great importance, please? You can borrow Mog, of course. I'm sure he'll be happy to help. It would be a good plan.
I will gladly do so. That would pull my attention from the crystals, but until we get this sill approved to assist us on those matters, perhaps holding back a smidge more would not necessarily be a bad thing. Besides, we have used a considerable amount of Guinevere's time, causing her to fall back on her own medicinal research. Perhaps it would be a good reprieve for her as well.
Nathan actually chimes up as well and says, well, Mog did, when I saw him last to the mountains in the west, he did say that he had interest in speaking either way as to the matters of Vigil. So he's been concerned about that situation since he's learned of it. If you'd like, I could take his place for some time, overseeing the things to the west, and I can have him spend some time in the capital.
Oh, well, we're going to need an itinerary. I think that would be a good idea. We need to discuss with him about what we learned anyway.
And kind of like when it seems like everybody's more or less just finishing up, just like getting to that meeting adjourns part, then all of a sudden you hear, and it kind of catches you off guard. I would just like to thank you all for the opportunity to allow me to sit in on one of these meetings. I appreciate the honor that it has been for me to sit in on my first one, and hope to be of greater aid in the future. I wish to make Vroga proud. And then Nelly sits back.
I was truthfully like, who the fuck?
Exactly.
I was thinking the same thing.
I was like,
who the fuck did Scott sneak into the council meeting?
That's what because earlier you said, lady, because there's only one, you bastard.
Everybody kind of forgot she was there. Besides, Ravina dresses like a woman that has presence. Nelly does not. That's not her shtick, we'll say. So, if I were to be offensive, I'd say she's a bit more plain Jane. If I was to be a bit more offensive, without applying gender, I'd say she's frumpy. She's frumpy.
Let's just, stop.
The last word I'd probably use, because it confuses the Brits, is homely.
Why would that confuse a Brit?
Because you guys use homely different than we do.
No, we don't.
Ollie and I had a full-blown dispute about this forever ago. He used homely as a compliment, and I was
That's
like...
comely.
Oh, he said homely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what he said.
Oh,
You're
man.
both wrong. Shut the fuck up.
I know
Let's go
what
to House
homely means.
Glen. Oh my god.
So
homely isn't necessarily a bad thing though.
Thank you, Anna. Someone is sticking up for Nelly.
Yeah, exactly. She is not. But nobody ever even implied anybody was. Aside from Jake, let's just talk about how one is certainly not a man of one.
Can we
Stop talking about one. All right, he's not coming back for ages. All right,
can we go to
making me miss him?
Can we go to Hug Gwen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, I love how he's like, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I guess we'd invite Dwayne, send one of the messengers or guards to go say, Dwayne, would you like to come for an evening of wine and cheese?
So you said that, and of course, so and so, blah blah blah. Flash forward in Hodgwen, and he would actually go and join with you to have an evening of wine and cheese.
No, I know it's him. It's beer.
I mean, he honestly partakes in all sorts of drink and food, so he's good either way. He actually, when he comes there, he actually comes at first without telling you in advance. He comes at first with like an assistant, like an executive assistant or whatever it is, kind of like somebody to help look over things, take notes or whatever it is. And so when he first walks in, is this moment where he walks, chosen of the blade. It's a pleasure to see you again. And it's one of those roll sense motive for the two of you.
You had like a 66% chance of getting it right. You chose the
You
only
chose the
wrong
one
chosen
that
tile.
was there. How does Scott do this?
I'm so bad with any proper nouns. I'm just terrible.
I don't like.
Anyway, sorry. I was too
And
busy
oh my
judging
God,
you. What
that
did
roll.
you say? Oh, we need to roll the sense motive. Oh my God, he's doing it because one's away. That monster.
Oh, there'll be a lot more to come.
I mean, normally I'd be fine, but for some reason I'm, roll extra trash today.
You guys actually know Dwayne fairly well. Literally traveling, fighting alongside him. Known him for over a year. But beyond that, you also know he's been doing his certain plays in Hod Gwen. You've kind of like picked up on. So you're thinking this is part of that. So he has a very formal conversation with you guys for like the first like 40 minutes or so. And then after like all that formal stuff is done, he remembers of something important that needs to be handled back at the office. I entirely forgot to get this done. The slumbering queen is going to be genuinely annoyed if we don't have this prepared for her by the morning. Just forge my signature. You know how to do it. And just sends the man away to go and take care of this important thing while he wraps up the details with you guys here.
I like it. It's good. Clever.
And then after his assistant leaves, he actually will say, "How goes things at home?"
Reasonably. One is gone walkies.
But Curseful does have walls now.
That's good. That's good.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
Tell me, purely, how is Jaden settling in?
Jaden is a little unsettling.
Yes. She's a little bit beyond. Well, she's been beyond and back, I suppose, is a better way of putting it.
I think she does fine enough. I didn't know who she was in life prior to everything that had transpired. And not everybody knows the full extent of what happened to her quite just yet. Because we figure we don't want to frighten everybody involved. Of course, the Slumbering Queen is aware, as well as a couple of others on the council. Important detail that was shared with them. Jaden, I don't know if it was maybe you and Jaden that spoke of this, or if it was Jaden's idea personally, but to make sure that they understands that she's also a representative of the Arbiter while she serves in the throne here. Serves in the council here. But like I said, she's a bit unsettling. Just the way she talks, the way she moves. She's just a little off. Just takes a minute to get used to. I will lie, she's nice. She's a kind person. Dedicated. I'm not sure if she sleeps much. But I don't know if I would if I went through what she did. And I went through some shit. But I get a good night's rest.
Raerin would have started giving him quite a cold glare midway through that. But then it softens to sort of a cool look. By the end, he smiles slightly and says, "You know her in life now." A small correction.
He understands the point that you make and says, and I'm sure others will understand that in time.
Yes, it's not often that an individual who is touched by literally two different gods in the span of a month.
I am pleased that she's doing well.
As one well returns, sorry.
As well as can be expected, at least.
Yes.
He nods and says, "Has one returned? There's been rumor that he's been absent for a couple weeks now."
Raerin already said that he's gone walkies. Officially,
you want to explain? Oh, okay. You're going to do go.
Officially, he is on a pilgrimage.
Unofficially?
He conducted some form of ritual with 2 and 3 and disappeared inside a locked temple.
Okay. There's no concern.
We have fairly good reason to believe he can make it back.
Best case scenario, he's been stranded somewhere and he's had to eat 2 to survive.
Ilen would laugh at that.
He like just does like a decent smile as well. He's met 2, of course, so it's like
I believe he'll be able to make it back. There was talk of traveling to where he has likely gone before the ritual was done, and he had good reason to go there, so I believe he will be able to make it back. It's just a matter of when.
We shall see. Have faith.
it just kind of like lets it stop there. So hopefully he returns soon, because if he didn't, do you have plans for secession? Succession, not secession. Sorry. He's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's clearly asked in an uncomfortable way. Like he does not even sure if this is an appropriate question to ask. You get that vibe off of him.
Judging by what happened with myself, I feel like we will know what to do about secession when it comes to it. I was led here and shown what place I was meant to take eventually. Yeah, it's complicated. All this God stuff always is, but yeah, we will know if we have to do that. But so far,
one will be back.
Yes,
I certainly hope so. I have an affinity towards the man, just as I did towards Raerin. Not that I have any offense against you, Ilen. It's just I don't know you.
Fair enough. So far, I look forward. So far, I'm liking you, and look forward to getting to know you better.
Oh, thank you. And to be fair, filling Raerin's shoes is a rather easy task. He had surprisingly small feet for a man of his size. It was. I won't lie. When I had to pick up your tracks originally, when I was like, I honestly thought it was a woman.
You must have embellished the statue a little bit then.
Well, he was my friend.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to leave Raerin baby feet now. Nonetheless, in a way, Ilen, not really sure the whole mechanics of it, but Ilen possesses something of Raerin, more than just being chosen in title.
You explained it to me beforehand over drinks. I understand. I just meant you're not. But yeah, I meant no offense.
I'm sure you understand.
No,
I'm sure. Complex, extraplanar. Yeah, that's your thing.
There are some things where you just kind of go, and you just accept it and move on. So,
honestly,
like for instance,
he might understand it more than we do when we look into the details.
I mean, it's it's one of those, like with Jaden. I mean, she was dead. She's not. That's how do you comprehend that? You just kind of you deal with it and you move past. It's some things you just.
Technically, she was undead.
Awesome. It doesn't make that much easier to comprehend when the dead started walking.
Yep, you're right. You're right. All right. You've made me say it. You're right. You pleased?
He puts his feet up on your desk.
Now, if I understand correctly, you have been harboring some fugitives.
I think he actually. It's one of those things where
I love that.
Well, technically speaking, you are correct. It would lend you a bit of maybe it'll ease your concern to know that they aren't fugitives of Raerin. So,
It's becoming a disturbing habit amongst my friends and advisors to seek out fugitives and hire them into our service. I pray that you haven't done so with these lost sheep.
I'm just gonna like raise my hands. Technically fugitive. And he's gonna point at you. Technically fugitive.
So when you actually do that, Dwayne, like, he chuckles and he looks like, yeah. He goes, well, you know, you follow the leadership and as they guide you towards, and it just kind of trails off as it's kind of like one of those, you're not winning any ground here. And so he says, allow me to explain. The fact that they're fugitives is rightful, but it was also kind of a strange situation. There was these three individuals, Elijah, who's come through Kurzfall before, actually met with the Chosen of the Blade before. And then there's Ophios and Rena, who I personally actually know.
I heard that name. There's sort of like a pause where he looks at Raerin, looks back to him and just says, I encountered a creature, a snake person that mentioned Ophios and asked if I worked for them.
Interesting. This was through the portal.
My apologies. You met a what?
Some form of snake monster.
Okay, perfect. This makes this story a little bit less strange. So, Ophios had unfortunately, after a combat, come down with an affliction. I know the two of them, as well as another friend of theirs that actually unfortunately died. Somebody by the name of Yondis. Yondis Alayton. Tesh, roll a history check.
Okay.
Sounds unimportant.
He is. He's a messy individual. To be fair, though, Brittany can't identify the difference between him or, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
The Alayton family is actually a family of nobility that lives in Paradise, specifically lives in the capital, and they have an affinity towards like magical items and whatnot, procurements and whatnot of magical artifacts. Artifact not being powerful, but being ancient.
Can you repeat the last thing you said then with that in mind?
Yeah, my apologies. So he says, I actually knew the two of them as well as a friend of theirs, Yondis. Unfortunately, their friend passed, Yondis Alayton. They three of them, after getting into a fight with apparently the individual that took Yondis's life, Ophios had come down with an affliction. They sought refuge in the hospitals of Hod Gwen. The affliction got worse and worse, fever dreams. Elijah used magics to try to literally chill the blood of their friend Ophios as he was overheating. That gets a little bit stranger in a moment. He also used walls of ice to try to lock in a few of the nurses. So, of course, once they were able to get by, either with his permission or without later on, word of why spread pretty quickly amongst the nurses there, as you can imagine. Because the man that they were assisting, this Ophios, is a snake man.
That explains a lot.
Duplicitous.
No, from the shoulders down, he is completely a man. But from the shoulders and above, he is that of a snake. A different description of the other one you had, Dash.
Yeah, the other one was he had a snake like tail from waist down, right?
Yeah, and it was
so-
long too, like a big tail. Yeah.
So interesting. The one that I encountered was snake from about the waist down and had a very long tail.
Perhaps it depends on the sort of intercourse you have with the snake to produce such a thing.
I highly doubt that is how that is. I just moving on.
He was hoping the drinks would open you guys up to better jokes in the situation. Fell flat,
But
moves on.
why would that alone be enough for them to be fugitives? I understand the
No. That's not why. He in one of his fever dreams, as is described by the nurses that I spoke to, tried to leave, and his friends were allowing him to. The nurses, knowing that he was on the brink of death, wanted to stop him. Let's just say a bit of force was used to keep the nurses at bay, and eventually they used teleportative magics or invisibility or something. They just were gone. That's not why they were considered fugitives either. That's, foolish, but not anything wrong. They were later discovered breaking into the bank.
Oh.
They were discovered. We're not sure exactly where in the bank that they went because they were discovered trying to leave the bank that they broke into. We know that magic was used to open the bank because it was that spell that you can touch something and it makes a really loud banging noise and it opens for him. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I've seen it done before, but anyways. So they broke into the bank and spent some time in there. And then there was a bit of an encounter as they left the bank. Luckily, no blood was shed, at least on behalf of the orcs and men that looked to secure the area. But most importantly, Ophios was no longer with them. The two of them claims that Ophios died in the bank. Actually, they didn't say anything. They gave almost no information while they were in prison. Xander made me aware of their presence in the prison, and I went and let them out. It wasn't my authority, but meh. I kept them up in my house for a while and made conversation with them. Learned a bit of information too, including what I just told you.
We let them go.
We did. We definitely let them go for multiple reasons. The man that hunts them down, and they are being hunted, took two lives. They took the lives of Rena's two friends, Yondis and Ophios. One apparently being ripped apart by something called a trollhound, and another contracting a disease by the hounds and eventually having its life taken. It's a man. He's known as the Terror of the Barrenlands. His real name is Kudan. He is a bounty hunter of some renown in Paradel. He's served for Paradel as a bounty hunter for a period of time. He doesn't fail. His targets usually don't live. And he has never not got to the target by reputation. I don't know if that's a fact or not. If his targets were Rena and her companions, well, he's almost done collecting his payday.
Interesting.
You think he's after these two still?
I think he's after this one. I think he's after Rena. I don't know if Elijah has a bounty on his head because he didn't join their cause until, a while afterwards.
And you think he's in Adir? Following them?
He is definitely in Adir. I was able to procure location of his tracks, and I was able to even kind of group them up with somebody that I personally known, Dvorsky. He's somebody that I've worked with in the past. You know, of course, my history, and They've even worked with you before.
They're
But,
going to kill him.
If not kill him, then try to capture him, but I think she's there for blood. It took her... If there was one individual that took, again, no offense, but Valrin and won before your eyes, how would you react?
Ilen would actually be the one to respond with almost immediately just, yeah, she wants blood. Well, that's definitely not what I was expecting.
He's a mercenary for Peridel.
He is a bounty hunter that knows where a good payday is. I also have worked for Peridel many times.
But he historically works for Peridel because that's where the best payday is.
I wouldn't... I mean, yes, but at the same time, I wouldn't say he's loyal to them or anybody else.
This impression, Rena, I heard that she rallied a rebellion up north in one of their own provinces.
Yeah.
She's charismatic.
We did so...
Sorry, that reaction was so good.
The three of them made a good group. Rena, Yondis, and Ophios. They're deeply flawed individuals that really work to fill in each other's... well, you know, like in any other group of three people that spend a lot of time together and things that are over an individual's head. But they also happen to have a couple of others that lent them aid. Someone that could get in for...
She's the one.
He raises his glass to that, and you know he'll actually go to clink against yours.
Either way, she is a symbol, which is why they're trying to get rid of her.
Well, if I heard correctly, the rebellion has failed up north.
Yes, but if the one leading it still lives.
True enough. And killing her in a different land would allow her to not become a martyr.
I'm rather fond of martyrs. How long ago did they leave?
This morning? No, sorry, yesterday morning.
Would you be able to give me their directions and whatnot? I may have an individual who could assist them.
I could give you all the information that I have. Who did you have in mind?
A familiar of mine. He will get there very swiftly.
Certainly.
Did they take anything from the bank?
As far as I can tell, no. And they had no intention of. As far as I can tell, they went to go... they didn't go into too much detail, but the short version is they were there because Ophios' fever dream brought them there. Brought them to the basements, actually. And they used invisibility to try to leave that place. It didn't work out. So I assumed that invisibility was used on his body, which is why we couldn't find it in the basement. I was mistaken. It was not. We couldn't find it in the basement. And the spell should have lapsed by now.
Interesting. And you don't know of anyone you don't know of anyone having found it?
Nobody found the body. And we've doubled the guard there. We haven't been able to crack the vault yet, and it seems as though they hadn't either.
Interesting. If you know horror movies, you always need to see the body.
Indeed. This is peculiar. A snake person.
I wonder
Was that
whatever magic made them, they break down after death? If it
I
was
suppose
magic
it's
that made
possible
them.
if there's some sort of chimeric construct.
It might be worth talking to that other one I found.
Well, it is, as I said beforehand, using the cold magics on him was a bit strange. I said that there'd be more of a detail after. I'm not sure how familiar you are with creatures of the wild. That the two of you seem a bit more of city boys, but snakes aren't creatures that are very warm.
Educated.
Sure, very warm of their own
Yes.
right.
Overheating does seem strange when you put it that way.
Not a natural illness. If you do find his body, burn it.
I had every intention of burning it, but after the hospital had perhaps grabbed samples to look after it, at the very least, even if we didn't want them involved, at the very least, what's her name? Guinevere. Since Guinevere, was one of the people that discovered the medicine to help with the last disease we...
Yes, it's not a bad idea. I just wouldn't want another contagion. That would be the last thing. Well, quite frankly,
Yes.
would be the last thing, the final nail in the coffin for Hardgwen.
I agree. And Hardgwen's struggling, especially with the untimely absence. We've gone over it. But we don't want Guinevere to... I would put faith in Guinevere's ability to find a cure if need be.
Speaking of Guinevere, Elliot said she seemed different recently. After, what was it specifically after? There was a specific event that was happening when I've forgotten because
She spoke to Rena and Elijah.
Oh, she didn't speak to Elijah, as far as I understood. The two of them have some sort of thing going on. Rena was pretty drunk when she was at my house. She was absolutely, to say she was obliterated would be an understatement. That girl was gone. But considering
maybe we should change her nickname to Rena the Destroyed.
He chuckles, but it's one of those things where it's like a half chuckle because he saw the pain in her losing a friend, and he actually knew the friends that she lost. So it's like he can't not chuckle at the joke, but it's like almost feels guilty doing so considering the situation. And
kicked Raerin onto the table. Just wait.
What? It was like the hand joke. It was great.
Ilen's like, it was, but come on, man.
They just needed a
hand understanding it.
Okay, I'm sorry, carry on.
anyways, so he says she was teasing Elijah about all that. I think Rena believed that the two of them had some sort of relationship in the past. I didn't press the issue. It's possible. They did speak of the information that I was able to procure again, because I wasn't there for the conversation, was that they spoke of her family very briefly, and she wasn't very happy about it. Kind of moved away from that bit of the conversation.
I see.
Ah.
Elijah didn't happen to let you know whether or not he deserted, did he?
Elijah spoke, I think, to one about these things. One and I had talked about him beforehand. So of course, one said, if you see this man in the lands, keep an eye on him, because, you guys are always very trusting of everybody that comes through. So, but I don't think he said that he was concerned the man was a deserter. Don't recall one saying that.
What did you just say about us?
Facts.
You said we're very, very nosy and that we don't trust anyone. I'm just double checking.
Yeah, I can look into it. I can send word out
To be
west.
fair, with the track record,
I wouldn't waste resources on something so trivial.
Oh no, if there's merchants already heading in that direction, I would slip a few coins to have them ask a couple questions. I wouldn't send a dedicated person for such a trivial task.
You said Kudan's been a bounty hunter for a long time.
He's a bugbear, if you're familiar with those people.
Form of goblinoid. I'm not particularly. It was a long time ago.
Large, frightening. It's one of those things where their arms are actually disproportionately long compared to the size of their body, but you wouldn't necessarily know that just by looking at them because the way they tend to have them resting and crooked, depending on the individual. And it always catches you off guard. You say the wrong thing to a bugbear, and he'll slap you across the face from further than you'd expect possible. It's quicker than you expect possible, and I promise you, your ears will be ringing for a while. Either way, this one has learned, has grown an affinity with a longbow, and has quite the shot. He also has learned to train these troll hounds. He customarily has 2 of them with him, but according to Rena, they did kill one of them, and considering they carved chunks of its flesh out afterwards, I'm inclined to believe them.
They didn't eat a creature like that, did they?
No. Rena's a bit of a craftsman. She actually is a fairly decent craftsman. She actually made her own axe that she walks around destroying things with. And the armor that she wears is, again, very well crafted. She, I think, intends to use them as reagents, hoping to impart certain properties that are intrinsic to the physiology of the creatures.
Charming. Well,
extra longbow.
No Ezek there.
So, in that case, I think you acted reasonably well.
Honestly,
you acted very well.
No, I'm just hoping that they finds justice in this.
I agree.
Indeed.
If she goes around raising other rebellions, it would pay to have her on our side. Like I said, I will send someone to assist. Do you think the provision of something greater would be in order?
I don't know Rena very well. I knew her from when I have to say, do you remember when I returned home, I gave you a gift of coin?
Yes.
Truth be told, I procured significantly more coin than that. But of course, I gave that portion of it as a gift to you, to the kingdom. By bringing her to prison, my last bounty, before I retired.
I see.
It was a ploy to get coin while also strategically placing her into a position that would give them advantage in their fight. There was a lot of 20,000 gold is what sat on her head. I collected.
That is a large bounty.
It is. So, I got to know her and a bit of her history. I don't know all the finer details, and truth be told, we drank a bit back then. So let me give you the short version. She's a woman that was born and raised in Tasiandale until that town was no longer Tasiandale. And much like the others, she suffered inclime. She chose to fight. It didn't suit her, fighting against her countrymen. So she changed her decision to fight and instead chose to serve as a craftsman, to where she learned her trade. She learned how to create the things that she has. That also didn't suit her, so she fled. She's a fugitive in Paradel. From there, she met up with her companions, and they've gone about starting a rebellion. To say that she's distrusting of established governments is probably an understatement, though your government is so young, and might be aligned with her. I don't know. I mean this not in a disrespectful way, but There are a lot of laws here that perhaps she doesn't like. For instance, there are laws here that limit what one may worship. Teasingdale is a place that allows for open worship. She might find that offensive. I can't speak truth to that, though, because I don't know those ins and outs of her. I just know that she's a character with problems with authority, and that's kind of a heavily authoritative law.
Do you think she could destabilize another region of Paradise?
Potentially.
My riders are traveling south to pick up some horses. The way I see it, this is a tool to be used. It has quite literally fallen into our lap.
I don't... When I was with them before, again, she was so drunk, and Elijah was also not... I don't know, the two of them were weird when I spoke with them, so I didn't get a lot of information. I hope you get to speak to them directly at some points, but when I helped them before, they talked about these people that seemed... They believed that there was a group of people that existed in Paradel that aren't regular Paradel, like people that were hidden amongst their ranks and were kind of pushing Paradel in one direction versus where it belongs. They believed by eliminating these targets that they would be able to be successful in their cause. Their goal was to do so by raising a rebellion, calling them out, and killing them. The rebellion failed. I don't know what their approach is now. But if you're offering soldiers for them to start a new rebellion, I don't know if that's their new approach.
No. Merely to ensure that this famed bounty hunter does not slaughter them.
Ah, well, that's a different conversation.
I wouldn't be so brazen as to throw support of my soldiers behind, quite frankly, a couple of vagabonds.
Good. Fair warriors in their own right, intelligent in their own ways, but leaders perhaps not. Flint, however, oh boy, if we could get Flint.
Flint?
Flint. He was somebody else that we spent some time with out in Vala. That man is explosive. A mage of sorts, wields this massive hammer that goes boom.
Mage and hammer. Interesting combination.
Yeah, he had the ability to harden his skin. Again, good guy. And he can hold this drink.
Very well, if you believe that appropriately powerful enough to deal with this bounty hunter and his remaining hound, then perhaps just assistance of information. Eyes in the sky would be very useful, I imagine.
I'll let you know all the details as up to date as I have them. Moving forward, I mean, Kudan's not somebody that I don't think he's typically leaves a trail, but he did leave a he did know that they fled after their fight. She said she injured him, and they fled into Hard Gwen. And then we discovered a trail. How soon can you get those riders?
They're marching down now. I know the leader well enough. I could
Do
send
you
a
think
message.
that they're being led into a trap?
I don't know Kudan personally, but the idea of him I don't know if he leaves trails or not typically. He seems like the kind of person that doesn't, despite his size, those hounds. But it does seem convenient and it's easy that we fuck me. I really hope I didn't just make a mistake.
Dwayne, once, some time ago, you were tortured. You suffered greatly on account of me, mine, and my country. I have not been able to make amends. These people were kind to you, your friends. If you ask it, I will send the riders to do what they can.
I think that she's suffered, Christ, her entire adult life. I think that more suffering, I don't think anybody deserves that. Perhaps not the brightest person, but she has the right idea.
Scott, check Discord real quick.
I just saw my phone vibrate. Let me answer that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In that case, although we couldn't stop your suffering, perhaps we can stop some more of theirs.
How's that work? Does that be, give me half a second? There we go. We're totally not having a weird secret side conversation over here.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what going on? Me no understand. You could have a break if you want to have a secret conversation.
Yeah, actually, that would be a break right now would be a really good idea.
I honestly haven't gotten coffee yet today, so I probably need that. Coffee, but do we want to finish this conversation really quickly?
Sure. I'm down.
Well, my side will depend on the conversation. Yeah,
we're going to interrupt this conversation. It's one of those like, well, I think cut to commercial. Brought to you by, I don't know. It's like condoms brought to you by Trojan and other brands.
Makes sense. All will make sense.
It's Tesh. It's not going to make sense. I meant Jake. I meant Tesh.